Welcome to the grand finale of Project Publish. I'm your host, Richard Graves, and I'm here with our two writers and two performers who will do battle to be declared first season winners of Project Publish. Today, each performer will perform twice, so 4 performances in total. You will also see our writing judge, Don Bingle, performing at a microphone, and a special performance by some of our prior contestants that I'm told you won't want to miss. Something else new for our finale is that we have a studio audience. Okay, that audience is made up of those previous contestants, some guest judges, sponsors, family and friends of the performers and writers. Audience, please help me welcome our writers, Ren Roberts and Trevor Rodemaker. And our performers, Rebin Roy and Steve Polis. So Ren, you made the final.
I have.
Yeah. Has the feedback from Judge Bingle helped your writing as we've gone through the series?
I think so, absolutely. I mean, I always take to heart any feedback that I get, and I've really enjoyed some of the comments that I've gotten.
Okay, and Trevor, have you slept much this week? And what are your thoughts on competitive writing?
I have not slept much for quite a while, and competitive writing is the greatest thing in the world because it really drives you to do your best. I have learned so much in this event, so much.
Thank you. And Rebin, you've said once or twice that doing this has some of the challenges have pushed you out of your comfort zone to do new things. Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, considering I walked into my first acting class 6 months ago, I'm the most surprised that I'm here on the finale today. So yeah, I've had to play characters from a psychotic art student to a villainous film noir writer to the people I'm playing today, which will be surprising.
Okay. And Steve, you've had to prepare 2 scripts this week instead of 1. And with a busy regular workday schedule, how's that been for you?
Well, you know what? It's been incredibly difficult, Richard, but you know what? As an actor who's been performing for many years in the city of Batavia and beyond, it's just something that you have to work on, prepare character, prepare diction, prepare blocking everything to make it come together as an absolutely great piece, and I plan to give the best performance I have this entire run.
Okay, thanks. Okay, audience, let's welcome our judges. Writing judge Don Bingle, Mayor of Batavia Jeff Schilke, and performer judge Amber Mitchell. Welcome, Mayor. Thank you for being our guest judge for our finale. For viewers who don't know you, tell us your background and tell us about the thing you most like about being Mayor of Batavia.
Well, thank you for having me. I feel like I'm kind of returning from whence I came because when I was a senior in high school in September of 1966 was the first year that this building that we're in was opened as the Batavia High School. So I have the honor of being in the very first class that graduated out of this building 46 years ago. So it's not always great to come back, and I'm always amazed at the high quality and the progress and all the innovative things that Batavia High School continues to do. So I'm very pleased to be here. I've been the mayor of Batavia for 32 years. In that role, that longevity, I'm one of the longest serving mayors now in the Chicagoland region. And I've had the opportunity to oversee Batavia during some phenomenal years of growth. During the years that I've been mayor of Batavia, the population has doubled, and certainly we've added a lot of new features to the community of Batavia. Perhaps one of the great highlights is the major expansion of Batavia High School to include the Fine Arts Center and the the auditorium and the field house and all the great other amenities that have gone with it. So this is one of the true anchor tenets and pride and joys of Batavia is Batavia High School and the programs that go on here.
Okay, thank you. And tell us, this is a writing and performing show, so give us some of your favorite authors and 1 or 2 of your favorite movies.
Well, I tell you, I really have a passion for the movies, and I've had a couple of experiences. One, I always enjoyed the movie The Longest Day, which was the story of the Normandy invasion. And I enjoyed that movie because my father was an actual participant in the invasion at Normandy, and I got to go as a child to go to the movie with him and hear his reaction as he saw the movie being portrayed. And the other movie that I have a lot of remembrance of is the 1974 movie Harry and Tonto, which starred Art Carney. And I have an interest in that movie because it was made partially in Batavia, and at the time it was being made, I was a newspaper reporter here in town, and I got to go out on a daily basis and kind of cover what was happening. And they filmed an enormous amount of the movie in Batavia. A number of scenes were filmed here. Art Carney was a star for which he later won the Best Actor Award, or the Academy Award for, I believe, 1975. And what was interesting about the movie is I saw these scenes being filmed in Batavia, and when the movie was finally put on the street, there's only one real strong scene that survived the cutting room floor. We do have, that was kind of Batavia's big claim to fame, was that movie.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. In previous weeks, our judges have decided which writer and which performer go home. Today, you, the viewing audience, and our studio audience here will vote to decide who wins. To vote from home, you must be part of the Project Publish Facebook group. And if you have not already done that, go to Facebook, search for Project Publish, and request to join the group. Voting does not start until all 4 performances are complete. If you vote early, it will not count, and I'll let you know when that voting period begins. Don Bingle, tell us about the different styles, the writing styles of these 2 competitors we have, and what are their strengths and weaknesses?
Well, you know, I think that both Treva and Ren went with their strengths. So if you remember what they've done in previous weeks, you're going to see more of the same there in terms of story approach, in terms of tone, in terms of character development and narrative description.
Okay, and Amber Mitchell, tell us about the performers. What are their strengths and weaknesses and what they will be working on?
I think for both of them, I'm going to be looking to see that I'm not looking and seeing the actor, I'm looking and seeing a character. And I want to make sure that both of them can do this well, you know, really capitalize on vocal usage range and physicality to create the character.
For our finale, we issued 2 writing challenges. With twice the workload, we make the first challenge very simple and let the writers search their archives, and we ask them for the best 500 words or so they've ever written. The first challenge is for 4 minutes. Ren, tell us, what did you come up with?
I ended up submitting the first 2 pages of a science fiction political thriller that I've written. It's a novel-length work. And I don't know, it's kind of done in the vein of 1984 almost, with a little snow crash thrown in.
Okay, and is that completed or are you still writing it?
It still needs work. It's definitely not in its finished state yet, but it's got a lot of it. I've been working on it for a couple of years, so.
Okay, and Treva, what did you come up with your best work?
Well, I'm writing about pirates right now, and this is the beginning of my 2nd chapter. I think it shows a lot of the things that we love pirates for, and some good energy, and I'm looking forward to seeing Steve perform it.
For this challenge, Rebin is paired with Ren and Steve is paired with Treva, and we will swap partners for the 2nd challenge. So we need to get you together as partners. Okay. Now it's time to toss a coin and decide who goes first. Steve, as you're the only male guest amongst us, I'm going to get you to call while we're in the air, and you'll get to choose who goes first. Right. Okay. If you win, you'll get to choose whether you want to go first or second. Can you hold that for me? Okay, you ready? Yes. Call it while it's in the air.
Heads.
And we do have heads, so do you want to go first or second?
I would like to go second. Ladies first.
Okay. So that will happen for both performances. So you go first for both performances. Okay. So while Steve prepares, let's go back in time and watch his audition many weeks ago at one of the libraries here in the area. Thank you. Let's roll that tape.
I said that for a while, and then I decided to say, step on the magic star and you can see Cher.
Threw me for a loop this week. I expected something, I guess maybe cliche.
My shift's over. How'd it get so late anyway? The day always goes so quickly when no one tries to run away or no one gets lost. I like the days without the screaming.
But overall, very good. I liked it.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. That was my mistake. Rebin is going first. Rebin, start when you're ready. Thank you.
I saw two birds. At least I thought it was two birds. They were flying in the sky, where birds often find themselves flying. And they were over by those two sharp lines cutting across that brilliant blue. Power lines! I thought it was two birds, but I can't be sure. I can't quite remember how many two was. So maybe it wasn't two birds. Maybe it was three birds or four birds. I don't know, but my heart is set on a quantity of two I can't recall, and it worries me. Something is wrong. Very, very wrong. Two's not a number one easily forgets. The birds are gone now. I can't think of what happened before the birds. Even the memory of the birds is slipping away. There's a hole in my mind, pulling the birds closer and closer, waiting to swallow them. I search the sky frantically. Birds, I tell myself, two birds. I'm clinging to them for dear life. Forgetting the birds scares me. I don't know what'll happen if I forget them. Will I cease to be? Will I simply vanish? There they are. This pairing of birds, of crows, is going across the field. Yes, it's a field I'm standing in. And I'm barefoot. And my clothes are various shades of dirt and grime. And they're horribly, terrifically uncomfortable. They itch. It's awful. I'm tempted to remove them, but something about my nakedness prevents me. This would not be proper. Somehow, I know this would be indecent. I don't remember what the number two is, but I know being naked in a field is no good. Perhaps that's because I'm not alone. No, aloneness means to be without company, and company is something of which I have plenty. In the field, standing between the green crops, are people! People wearing the same scratchy, ill-fitting outfits. These strange companions are not looking at the birds. They're stroking the leaves of the crops, and they stand there, hunched over. There's someone on either side of me, stroking leaves. There's something alien in their motions. Alien, but I'm sure they're people, human beings, just as I am one of these peculiar creatures, humans. The stroking motion is slow and steady, and they look at me with an odd sort of fixed gaze. Except for one. Well, two if you count me. There it is again, that strange quantity of two. I'm looking at the field and the people and the birds, and the creature next to me is looking at me. This one seems different. Not like me. He has breasts. Same shaven hair, same expressionless eyes, but he has breasts. Not a he, a she! A woman! A woman who looks exactly as me. She's staring at me. Birds! I saw some birds! They're really gone now. No birds, only endless sky. She doesn't seem to mind. Only looks at me with eyes that are scared and expressionless at the same time. They were there! I saw them! She doesn't believe me. Or maybe she doesn't hear me. She merely turns back to her plant and begins stroking the leaves. Her hands are dry and cracked. What was it I'd seen? Up there in that blue? It's gone now. Or was there anything ever there? Seen.
I think it was an interesting performing choice to switch this to first person, but it reads very well in third person also. This is nicely aliens, surreal. It's very cleanly written and draws the reader into a pretty bizarre mystery. And so it has that dark, mysterious quality that Wren's work has shown so far, and it's a very interesting piece. Mayor.
I just like the movement of the piece. You didn't know from almost literally 1 second to the next where it was going to go. And there was always kind of an air of mystery surrounding it because you didn't know if it was all of a sudden going to get quite hectic or really calm down, and the focus of it was constantly changing, so it really held my attention.
I kind of like the Matrix feel of it when he realizes he's one of a gazillion people in a pod. It was a good capture at the beginning. I like that one. Good use of the stand, so you integrated something that was with you on the stage. You used levels and space, which kept the horizon moving for us, which was really good. I felt like I was in an open field. I would have given it a little more air every once in a while. I think you were kind of rushing some of the dialogue, but overall, really nice performance. I like the piece. Very clever writing, too. Very good.
That's it from the judges.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Steve performing a piece by Treva. Let's take a look at Steve's audition performance. Thank you.
Steve started off great, and I was following along, and unfortunately, kind of fell apart a little bit. I feel for you, man. It's tough.
Phase 1 of the operation has commenced. The test site, Batavia, Illinois.
So, Eric, I'm sorry. This is the end of your journey.
Sweating horses clopped down the street, hauling carriages, and a girl leading a cow called, "Milk! Fresh milk here!" The humid air hung heavy with the scent of overripe bananas, and the governor's palace stood back from the street, its stern stone facade brightened by tropical flowers. Scarlett shifted the small, heavy chest on her left hip as she approached the building. Henry Avery had summoned her, but she didn't know why. Her only comfort was the weight of the sword hanging from her belt. She knocked, gave her name, and was escorted in by a clerk wearing a tan linen suit. Scarlett scanned the walls, all smooth, plaster and fine paintings, the windows hung with silk drapes. She felt rough and ill-bred, but the sword was still at her hip. The clerk knocked on an elaborate set of double doors and called in, "Miss Scarlett McGrath?" "Captain McGrath," she scowled. "Captain? I'm sorry. Captain McGrath." Inside the room, a muffled voice called out as Scarlett entered, careful to go right foot first. A pirate needed all the luck she could get. A wide mahogany desk stood facing the door. Behind it sat a man of impressive height and even more impressive bulk. Sorting the papers before him, his hands were scarred. It could be none other than Henry Avery. Scarlett bowed formally, sweeping off her hat. "Come in, come in." The man stood, showing a sagging shape, still more chest than belly, and indicated a spindly, ornamented chair. "Sit. So, you be Scarlett McGrath." From another man, Scarlett might have taken offense at being called girl, but now she held her tongue. She put the chest on the edge of the desk and perched carefully on the chair. "What be this?" His right hand, decorated with rings, indicated the chest. "A present from me ship the Donnybrook." Avery turned the chest toward him, and as Scarlett watched his face, he opened the lid. Inside were 24 neat stacks of gold coins with necklaces thrown on top for show. The jewelry had been her idea. But you could never fence the stuff for what it was probably worth, considering the colored gems. Avery smiled with pleasure, and Scarlett relaxed just a little. Even without gems, the chest was worth enough to crew a merchant sloop for a year. she accepted a glass of very fine rum and waited expectantly while Avery settled himself and drank. Suddenly, he barked out a question. "Do you accept me as the governor of Nassau?" She blinked. "Why wouldn't you be?" "I want clarity. You accept me as the governor of Nassau, but you also accept me as your governor." Scarlet shifted uneasily in the chair. "Meaning no disrespect, sir. I do understand that it's your great warship out there in the harbor, and it's your fort pointing all them guns down at the rest of us. You took this port and held it, and you're the most successful pirate that's ever lived. But no man is in charge of me or mine. I want no trouble, but that's just the way 'tis." Scene.
There's a strong economy of words in this piece, establishing the setting, establishing the situation, and both of the characters quite well, even the minor character quite well. I like the fact that the opening paragraph includes the scent of overripe bananas, scents often forgotten in narrative description. There's a number of short little phrases here that help establish things about the character. The right foot first indicates some superstition. References to the description of the governor and about not being able to fence the necklaces, although that got a little garbled in performance. Altogether, a nice introduction to a chapter about characters that we'll be interested hearing more about. Mayor?
Well, I found interesting and complimentary the detail of the writing that allowed you to hear the suggestion that the air smelled and that there was the movements that were taking place and where the various components of the scene where they were at and what descriptions they had. So the writing detail, I think, was a real strength of the scene. Also, certainly the presentation, the acting of it was nicely done, and I appreciated everything from the knock on the door to the pointing toward the ships and whatever that there was gave you the opportunity in your mind as one who was watching it to kind of in your mind vision what was also being portrayed. So I appreciate the presentation very much.
It was really good. It fit you well. The piece fit you well. And it was nice to have the integration of the dialogue with the physicality of what you were doing with the narrator happening at the same time. It would have been nice to have the characters a little bit more placed. I was having a hard time once in a while seeing where everybody was sitting in the space. The frontal address, I didn't know if you did that on purpose to us some of the time and to the camera some of the time, if that was an issue or a choice. And then pantomiming, let it settle a little bit more rather than rushing through it. It was good, though. Nice use of objects, and the accents were floating a little bit sporadically, kind of different areas were happening there, but kind of in the same country. And then just make sure the speed, sometimes the speed was the same on the delivery as opposed to giving me a little bit more breath in it. But I really liked it. I thought you did a great job.
Back to you, Richard.
Okay, thank you. Let's have our other contestants back on the stage, please. And I'm going to ask Don, which of these writers do you think edged round one?
Well, like I said before, both of them played to their strengths, so I'm going to leave it to the audience to decide what kind of writing they're most looking for. Whether they want something that's a little surreal and quirky, which is Ren, or if they want a more traditional pirate tale that is very well rendered from Treva.
Okay, and Amber, what did you think?
I think it's a dead heat. I seriously do. Because both of them had pieces that played to strengths that they had. So it'll be interesting to see what they do to mix it up in the next round. So I would say we're right neck and neck with each other.
Okay, Mayor, have the experts got it wrong? You tell us.
No, I would defer to the experts. I would almost describe it as a dead heat, too, that from the perspective that the writing was very, very strong, and I'm impressed that the quality of the detail and the depictions that are given have been right on, and I really appreciate the writing that I've heard so far.
Okay. So now it's time for round 2. Let's swap our partners over. Do you guys want to just move around there? There we go. The second writing challenge is for a unique twist on a classic fairy tale, be it dark or whimsical or childish, or of course grim. The time limit for this piece is 3 minutes. So Treva, which fairy tale did you choose and why?
I took Hansel and Gretel in a flash of inspiration. People have done a lot of things with fairy tales over the last few years, and I know a lot of the things that people have done, but I believe I can guarantee that no one has ever done this with Hansel and Gretel.
Okay, we look forward to that. And Rin, which fairy tale did you choose and why?
I chose Sleeping Beauty because it's the fairy tale that I hate the most, so I figured I might as well take the one that I don't like and maybe make it a little better.
Okay.
So I'm really excited for what Steve's going to do with it.
Okay, so first up again is Revin, you're first again. Let's look at Treva's audition piece.
Why on earth she thought we had canned chicken? But you do have it, I protested. We eat it all the time. Chicken of the sea.
Every performer that I've worked with has just been so wonderful to see this different perspective on my writing and to really talk about it this way. It's great.
Treva has written something very, very good, and I'm going to have to really do it a lot of justice.
What have you been doing with all your time, I guess, then? Well, I guess that you said 5. You got no respect for me at all.
Revin, you look very different. Start when you're ready. Thank you.
Thank you. The breadcrumbs were an offering to the forest. We'd been so hungry, the crusts were all we had. Later there were berries. We thought they were gifts from the trees. And then the house. You've never seen anything so beautiful. I thought it was feeding my soul as well as my belly, giving me something I had lacked. My brother just wanted sweets, but the beautiful colors of the candy changed my life. When the witch caught us, she put my brother in a pen and said she'd fatten him up before eating him. Me, she set to work in the house, cleaning and caring at first, but then learning her work. She'd made the house herself, baking, candy, and architecture. What a combination! My brother did get fat in the pen. Sometimes he complained, but mostly he just smiled and burped. It must have been the life he dreamed of when we were poor and overworked and hungry. I had wanted opportunity. The old woman was nearly blind. I gave my brother a chicken bone and told him to poke it through the bars of the cage when she wanted to feel his flesh. After a while, though, she didn't bother. More children came, and I convinced the witch to use them as employees rather than raw materials. The old lady had the skills. I provided the inspiration. Together, we created a tower, then a castle clad in gumdrops and royal icing. Hot and cold running chocolate. Windows cast in sugar cast rainbows on the floor. The old witch retired as confectioner emeritus. My brother finally roused himself to take a position in quality control. I learned to spin sugar into animals and make them move. Soon we had a ballet of dancing candy. Finding a suitable manager, we sent them on the road for a Christmas show. It was a blockbuster. At last, the king himself arrived, requesting us to redecorate his palace. After that, it was a whirlwind of international presentations and write-ups in Architectural Digest and Candy Makers Quarterly. Exciting projects kept me busy all over the world. I was totally invested in the business presentations for parks and museums. I loved the work and turned down any number of proposals. The men loved me, but they couldn't understand my drive to create. But as the years went by, I began to realize that all the chocolate in the world couldn't fill my empty heart. Then, at an entrepreneurs convention, I met a man. He was in the toy business, had a green concept factory in a lovely, out-of-the-way location, and the best distribution system I'd ever seen. He had my kind of passion about the work and offered me some great suggestions and support. We hit it off right away. He even liked gingerbread. My only complaint was that he was too thin. It didn't matter, though. I was just the person to fatten him up. Scene.
This meets the challenge of a fairy tale with a twist very nicely. Not only does it have a fairy tale moral of empowerment. It also manages a second twist, juxtapositioning two different mythoses, and gives you a smile at the end. It's smooth, it's mature, and to do all of that in a page and 3/4 is just a very nice piece of writing. Mayor?
Yeah, I would concur. Number one, I think the presentation was extremely well done, so appreciate that. The writing, you know, fairy tales, sometimes I find them hard to follow, but this one, it was easy for me to kind of follow along with where you were going with it, and that kind of kept my attention, so I appreciate the detail of the writing, so my hat's off to both of you.
What a change, huh? What a difference. It was really nice that the pieces you did were so diametrically opposed to each other. You were a little fast at the beginning, didn't give it the air it needed, but then you settled into it after the first paragraph or so. Great job pulling out the humor in there. I laughed, I think, in all the appropriate places. It was really funny, and nice twist at the end with Santa Claus. I really liked that very much. I wasn't sure if she was a witch or what, and then all of a sudden I went, oh yeah, Santa Claus. So very cool.
That's it from the judges, Richard.
Okay, thank you. So next up is Steve performing a piece by Wren. So let's take a look at Wren's first audition.
She asked, do you want to be Wren? And my heart skipped a beat. That was it. That was my name. How did Mrs. Brosnick know my name?
Wren is awesome. Super, knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
I could not ask for a better partner.
I love seeing what horrible, terrible things lie within regular, everyday people. Since I'm kind of doing a more understated, more subtle thing of sci-fi, was trying to make it apparently sci-fi and not just like, wait, is this sci-fi? What?
Okay, Steve, you ready for this?
Yes.
Okay, your time starts when you're ready.
All right. We've all heard the story. Well, we could probably tell it in our sleep. What the Princess Rose in her bed, put there by a fairy curse. What a tragic story that was, of her napping away her life. 100 years, was it? Ah. What if I told you everything you heard was wrong? What if I told you that old hag fairy never walked this earth? What if I told you I've been there? I'm no prince. You can clearly see that. But that don't mean I'm not smart. I know what it means to save a princess. I know where my lot in life lies. But I'm not just the one to say, thank you, my lord. When there's a station to move up, I'd take it as good as anyone. Don't pretend you wouldn't. There's no such thing as a happy peasant. Well, back to my tale, eh? I heard the story like you do, and I'm a good-looking lad, so I figure, hey, I got me a shot. Who says only noble men can bear a true love's kiss? We all got lips, eh? So I take me horse, and I ride down to Banbury Briar Castle. And what do you know? I find a whole bunch of bits of armor sitting right there. Must be from all the kings and princes trying to penetrate the thing, eh? Not missing it now, are they? So I take it, and I got me a whole suit. And what do you know? It all matches. I think it rather queer. So I make me way with me beautiful mail, and thought it looked pretty perilous. It was rather simple, really. I just walked in. Didn't know what the big fuss is about. Didn't even get a scratch. And quite honestly, inside there, not that dusty. And I heard they were all dead. So, what's that about? Anyway, I climb the stairs, and I find the room where our beloved Rose is a snoozing in. And you know what I find? She's sitting there brushing her hair like that other princess, Rapunzel or Rapunzel or whatever, the one with the one hair, that one she was. and she looks at me and she asks, "What are you doing here?" And I says, "Rescuing you!" And she says, "Do I look like I need rescuing?" But the story, and you sleeping, and the curse, and the true love's kiss, and she laughs at me and says, That's so nobody bothers me. Go away, and give me back my deterrent armor. What choice did I have? So I went back to me fields, and I'm still not a prince. What bollocks luck I got? Scene.
This also meets the challenge. We have a twist in the fairy tale here with a shifted point of view. We've got a moral, once again, empowerment. I had a little minor plot issue with how easy it was for him to get in, because I'm not sure why other people didn't get in, unless maybe nobody tried because they were scared off by the story. But there's some real nice phrasing in here. There's no such thing as a happy peasant. It's just a great line. We've all got lips. That's all strong. It's a very funny story, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Mayor?
Yeah, it was a nice job of writing, some very good description in it, and I certainly appreciated the twist in the fairy tale. That was, I think, a very innovative complexion to the whole thing, so I really thought you did a nice job with that. The acting also I thought was exceptionally well done, especially I appreciated your shifting of accents and your way that you kind of altered your voice, and I really appreciated that kind of changed the scene for me and allowed me to kind of, in my own mind, understand where it was and what you were trying to portray, so good job.
It was a really good character introduction at the beginning. You jumped in, good capture at the beginning, I loved it. First person is obviously your forte. Let's be honest there. It really is. I love the little Spam-A-Lot coconut thing, that was great. Good job bringing out the humor in the piece, and this person is probably not the brightest bulb, but he's going to try his best to go get it. The only thing was that the girl's voice came out more modern, and I wasn't sure if that was reflective of the writing, since I did not see that. But otherwise, really nice job overall. Great job.
Thank you.
That's it from the judges.
Okay, thanks, judges. Let's have our other contestants back. And Don, see if you've come off the fence yet. Who's edging us in this competition?
You know,
who took the first round, second round?
They were both, these fairy tales were both fun, enjoyable pieces. I'm gonna shift off the fence just a little bit towards Treva here on the fairy tale, because getting in 2 twists in that amount of space is just so hard to do well. I have to give her credit for that.
Okay. Amber.
It was really close. I think they both did a great job. I think Treva's writing really benefited Rebin in that round, and I think your acting benefited her writing. So I would say it's kind of like a trade-off between the both of you. I still think you're a dead heat. It'll be up to everybody else to kind of make a decision.
Okay, Mayor, the buck stops with you, yeah. I understand. So you get the final word.
Well, I don't know if I'm stopping the buck here. I would tell you that I think both of them are winners. Both are extremely well done. I'm not certainly trained as an actor to know the nuances of the pros and cons of it, but I am very impressed by what I've seen here this afternoon, and I take my hats off to both of you, and I really would be hard-pressed to pick a winner on this one. So I would defer to the audience.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's a great segue, because voting starts now. Viewers at home, go to Project Publish Facebook page and cast your votes. You have 10 minutes. While everyone is voting, we're going to take a look at 2 or 3 pieces. The first one is something of Judge Dom Bingle performing a piece of his at Waterline Writers a few weeks ago. Waterline Writers is one of our sponsors, and so let's roll that tape.
You know Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, Comet and Cupid and Donner and Blitzen. Setting aside the unusual choice of second-person perspective for a moment, this is a weak opening line, providing no hook to seize the reader. If the reader knows these characters, why are you telling him or her that he or she knows them? And if the reader does not know these characters, he or she is immediately confused or put off by the assumption. Moreover, the series of names is ungrammatical in its repeated use of "and" instead of separating the names by commas, except for one comma inexplicably appearing in the middle, making the entire series non-parallel in structure. Also, check your research. I think the name is actually Donder, not Donner. But do you recall the most famous reindeer of all? Rhetorical questions are a weak cousin to vivid description. Besides, the question makes no sense in light of the preceding text. If the reader knows the other 8 reindeer characters, how would they possibly not know the most famous? Perhaps you mean most interesting, or most recent addition to the reindeer pantheon, or something. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. This repeat of the title adds nothing, and is an odd and incomplete character description. Do you mean the red nose to imply habitual drunkenness? Or perhaps lack of enough sense to come in out of the cold? What about Rudolph's eyes, his torso, his antlers, his hooves? The reader deserves more. And if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows. Enough with the nose already. Something needs to happen or your readers will stop reading. And if I ever saw subjunctive phrasing used in a well-constructed story, I would say I was surprised. And what's with the phrase, came to say? Isn't said a whole lot simpler? All the reindeer loved him. Again, the collective reindeer, but this time combined with a pronoun with an ambiguous antecedent. Him? Who? Santa? Rudolph? Don't make the reader wait until the end of a sentence to understand the beginning. In addition, the change of heart by the reindeer seems sudden and lacking in motivation. They love Rudolph because he is superior? Because he's usurping a job they usually perform? Why? In this tough economy, Rudolph's job ascension might easily lead to layoffs, and even one reindeer laid off is at an unemployment rate of 12.5%, well above the current national average. And they shouted out in glee. Consider making this a separate sentence. Also, consider specifying one reindeer to shout. Otherwise, you are implying a group shout in unison, which, given the length of the quotation following, seems unlikely to be sufficiently in sync to even be intelligible. Lastly, while the phrase in glee is certainly better than the adverb gleefully, it seems archaic to modern sensibilities and results in 2 prepositions, out and in a row, which is both awkward and might be construed as suggestive. You'll go down in history. This lacks credibility, and is an unsatisfying conclusion to your narrative, as the statement seems so unlikely to come true. It is patronizing on the part of the reindeer collective and self-aggrandizing on the part of the author. The world has radar, night vision goggles, fog lamps, and guide-by-wire navigation for aircraft. Yet a shiny nose is historical? We here at Writers Group Critique Service do our best to encourage writers with constructive criticism sandwiched in between encouraging words. But I frankly see little market for this rhyming piece of flash fiction.
Okay, I'm here with some of our previous contestants. We have Eric Polis, Diane Lincoln, Laurie O'Connor-Stephens, Crystal Skipworth, Ashley Welsh, Rebecca Strand, our tech team, and Jeff Byrne, who was co-writer of this piece with Ashley, yeah? We asked them to come back and to write a skit for us and perform that. And they've done so, and the title of it is...
So You Think You Can Judge.
Okay, guys, take it away.
Welcome to So You Think You Can Judge. I'm Dick Toombs, your host, and it's all come down to this. 7 weeks, 5 eliminations, but tonight, 2 will be sent home and 1 will be declared the winner. Our 3 finalists are, from left to right, Don Bingle, Marcia Visitor, and Ashley Welch. Judging them today, we have on the right, Anna List. On our left, Jewel Quartz. And in the middle, our guest judge this week is Jean Eric. And we will start with Anna.
Dawn, you tend to say and a lot. It comes across as if you're making it up. A little bit of winging it is fine, but you have 3 days to prepare your rulings. I think you could sound like you're actually using that time. Amber, you have this tendency to start loud, then trail off. I like to see you use more breath control. Marshall, I like the way you just agree with what the other judges say. You're here to be a judge, not to make decisions. Well done.
Don, I agree with Anna. You do seem a bit unprepared. And Amber, I agree with what Anna said. That's something you should work on. And Marcia, I just love the way you agree with everyone else. Nice job.
Amber, I don't see a lot of variety in your critiques. They're very one-note criticisms. You tend to judge each case based on how you would have performed it, and I think you're more likely to point out a flaw than a strength. And I would like it if you used your hands less. I can't tell if you're trying to emphasize a point or use sign language. So, Don, I agree with Anna. You need to work on seeming more prepared. And Marcia, unlike Anna, I wish you would show more originality and personality in your responses. Do more than parrot the other judges.
Jewel, I agree with everything you said, especially that bit about Marcia.
Jean, wait a minute. How can you agree with me and everything I said when we disagree about Marcia? We can't both be right.
Well, it's like, sure you can. She likes sausage on her pizza. You like pepperoni. I just get the meat lovers, and everybody wins.
That doesn't make any sense.
What are you talking about?
We're not talking about sausage versus pepperoni. We're talking about carnivores and vegetarians eating off of the same menu.
Well, one of you could just get the soup.
Yeah, that really doesn't make any sense.
Well, I just want to be liked.
Okay, a little bit of dissension from our judges there, but that's the excitement of live TV. Our producer, Kim, is telling us that we're running long, and she won't shut up about it. So let's go right to final verdicts. Anna.
Well, Dick, it was not an easy decision. I think they all fell short of our expectations in one way or another. But the rules say I could only send home one. So, Don, you have been judged. Your authority ends here.
Don, do you have anything to say?
Well, that's all right. You see, I never wanted to be a judge in the first place. I've always wanted to be a ballerina.
Okay, thank you, Don. Jewel, what is your verdict?
Well, let me just say that all of the contestants have worked very hard, and in a way, there are no losers. But in a more real way, there is a loser. Amber, you've been judged. Your authority ends here.
What? Me? Me? You give me that. Hey, I'm the judge.
Hey,
You're not the judge. No, no. Oh. You're all one note.
Okay, thank you, Amber. So that means by process of elimination that our winner is Marcia Visitor. Well done, Marcia.
Thank you.
So do you have anything to say?
Well, I'm not sure why I'm here or how it happened, but thank you, I guess.
Okay, Marcia. Well, for your prize, you get to come back next season and do this all over again.
Wait, next season they didn't say anything about coming back. You can't do this. I'll do anything. I'll be good, I promise.
Well, that's our show. We hope you enjoyed it. Tune in next season for more critiques, more arguments, and more deliberations on So You Think You Can Judge. Good night.
Well, thank you, guys. I'm going to break in here and get our judges just to have a quick comment on that. Don Bingo.
Well, I, of course, prepared my comments 3 days ago when I read the script of this. And I found it to be very interesting that it was co-written by the first person that I eliminated and the person that I put in the bottom two every week that they were here. Amber.
I think it was clever. I loved it. I thought it was adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was excellent. I'm just breathing a sigh of relief that they didn't parody all three of us by name.
It was talked about.
Okay, thank you guys. All right, thanks, Jeff. Okay, voting is now over and the results are being tallied. So let's look at the prize package and how those prizes will make for a perfect day in the Fox Valley.
The winners of Project Publish will get more than just bragging rights. We present to you the perfect weekend for those who walk away with the prizes of Project Publish.
Start the morning off reading about yourself in Rick Hollinger's column featuring Project Publish in the Kane County Chronicle.
Then hit the Geneva Film Festival with your all-access pass to all the screenings and technical workshops led by industry professionals.
Arun is the grandson of the legendary Mahatma Gandhi.
Head on into St. Charles and take in a high-quality theatrical performance at the Steel Beam Theater.
Got it. Thanks. Did I mention that my husband is a roofer? Sure.
Remember to schedule your 5 one-on-one acting classes with Laurie Holm, the amazing and talented director of Troupe Strozzi. Cap the night off with a meal at the Gammon Coach House. Be sure to show off your new custom jewelry made exclusively for you by Karen Hollis of K. Hollis Jewelers. The next morning, take a stroll down 3rd Street in Geneva and settle in at Graham's 318 to read a chapter or two from a book by Gene Raby, the well-known fantasy writer who will provide a critique of your short story.
Speaking of publishing, make time to meet with Kevin Moriarty, co-founder of the Waterline Writers here in Batavia.
Hey, I'm Kevin Moriarty, and I'm standing in the beautiful Water Street Studios Art Gallery here in Batavia. This is where I co-host Waterline Writers, a literary event that happens on the 3rd Sunday of each month at 7 p.m. Come out and join us, hear some great writing, and browse the gallery. I'm looking forward to helping the winning writer of Project Publish put their work on Amazon, just like I did for the Fox Valley Writers Group anthology, Foxtails.
The votes are in, and I have the results. So that's an exciting moment. Treva, what are you thinking right now? Is the adrenaline flowing?
I will not throw up. I will not throw up. I will not throw up.
Ren?
Yeah, I'm pretty much there with Rainbow. Pretty much there.
Good. And you guys, what are you thinking?
I'm thrilled. I got to read my kids a fairy tale on TV.
I'm excited, but like I said, I'm an actor, so it just comes with the job.
Okay. Right, I'm going to hand this envelope over to Judge Shelkey. Sorry, Mayor Shelkey, but Judge Shelkey as well. So please open that and announce the 2 winners. We're going to announce them both together, so please wait till both names are said before you applaud. Thank you.
Okay, the winners are, the Writers' Award goes to Ren Roberts, and the performer is Steve Polis.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Don Bingle, please give the award to the writer.
Well, Ren, 2 of the things that you're going to get as the winning writer. The first is a certificate for a critique of a short story and assistance with placing that story from Gene Raby. Gene has helped more writers get first published than anybody I know. She knows everybody in genre fiction, and she will be able to help you out and help with your story and help with placing it. So that's number one. And number two, Kevin Moriarty is going to help convert your novel when it's finished so that it can be published if you choose to publish it yourself as an e-story. And so when that novel's ready, Kevin's ready to go for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, and Amber, there you are.
Hi.
Please do that, the same thing for the performers.
Okay,
Thank you.
Steve, you're lucky. You get to go to the Geneva Film Festival. You get an all-access pass, and then 5 private coaching lessons with Lori over at Steel Beam. And you also get a Steel Beam certificate
Yes.
for everybody else, I think, for the other writer, too. So congratulations. Fantastic.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching Project Publish. And please stay connected on the Project Publish Facebook page. And there you'll find information about Season 2 when that comes up. And remember, my name is Graves, Richard Graves.
We have a few
We've got this prize here for the Geneva Film Festival. That goes to you, Ren. Sorry, it goes to Steve. There's...
Always wanted a giant sign.
Give me both of those.
Right. You're an actor. You'll be able to have a sign on both sides of your body for both of you.
We also have the piece of jewellery from Kay Hollis Jewellers, piece from Steel Beam Theatre, and a book of Forced Conversion by Donald Bingle. Don wanted to give the winning writer and performer a copy of that as well. So we got that one for each. There's for you, Ren.
Thank you. Thank you.
And here's the same for you.
Thank you very much, Richard. And,
for our T-shirts, Johnny. We have Johnny here to present T-shirts. She's the one that put these together. Tell us about that, Johnny, for a moment.
Kim called and said we have a project that we're doing, Project Publish, and would you be interested in doing the T-shirts? So we donated the T-shirts from my company, Spirit Corner.
The people who didn't win, I won't call them the other word for that. We also have a T-shirt and a token of appreciation from our sponsors. Thank you very much, guys. That was great.
Bye. Thank you for watching.